Alright, let's look at what is new in the timeline. A frightened Isabella Santos knocked at Zachary Steele's apartment in the middle of the night for a scared booty call? Shaken, she refused to say what happened. Zachary let her stay, regardless, because reasons. Come morning, Zachary received a phone call from Ashton, who was looking for Isabella. Zachary informed him that she stayed over and of the circumstances. Before ending the call, Ashton offered to pick her up because he... reasons. I think that's about it. Hannah's photo shoot. Pictures were weird. Let's see the relationship. Ashton likes him more, Hannah likes him more, even though we haven't really interacted with Hannah lately, and Isabella's completely maxed with him. I kind of hope this turns into a really weird dating sim. Like, I still want to find a good, or even any, horror dating sim. That's what I want. Sometimes I wish Ash would make himself easier to find, you know, being a detective and all that. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and 1 visit to his flat later. I still have no idea which rock in Luxborn he went off to hide under again, or oh gods, what did he do with Isabella? The guy has his own place, but he refuses to stay in it. Instead, he crashes on other people's couches. Has his own phone, but doesn't answer any of his calls or give any indications he's gotten his messages, and uses other people's cell phones instead. Most of the time, he'll just show up on my front door, and sometimes I'll open up the front door to see him sleeping there on the doormat. Sometimes in the middle of the night, complaining how uncomfortable it is to sleep at my front door. To sleep at the back of his his car? Why is he sleeping in the back of his car? Unless he's avoiding credit card collection agencies. There we go. As if the old couch in my flat is any better. Nothing new from him though, but a bit frustrating really. There's the police precinct, of course. Then again, he's not there most of the time either. And if that's also true for today, he's likely out on another stakeout. There's nothing much to do for me, but wait, if that's the case.
Let's just hope I'm lucky enough today.
While Luxborn is a relatively peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays buzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs coming from the people waiting in the lobby welcome me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and a polite nod. Some, though, look a little worse for wear. The receptionist who looked at me with much disdain the moment I arrived because he was black. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashton's voice, though low, comes from the hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell. Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, never mind, you won't understand.
You've never had a crush.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with. They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved.
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out.
Apparently not.
In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the 4th one yesterday.
'Cause he's the one who's responsible.
Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
There's always murder and people missing.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. That was a weird sentence. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it in his face. Frowning, he pulls his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling with it for a few seconds before sighing heavily. There isn't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though, only mild exasperation and what might be a hint of amusement.
Stop taking pointers from Isabella. This is gonna get old soon.
I know, just dropping by at your work.
At least use your phone properly.
It's an alarm clock, a good note-taking device, a halfway decent camera, and maybe a music player too. If I'm being nice. What else do I need it for?
I don't know, keeping in contact maybe?
When he merely shrugs, I know I've struck a chord. He's far from holding a piece of technology in contempt, of course. Ash has always been nothing but practical from the start, and technology is useful. Only when he gets too focused on one thing, like a case he's handling, he tends to forget there are other things around him. A little reminder and a nudge in the right direction could get him a long way.
I've got an email on that social media site the girls roped us into joining.
Roped.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, you've got an account before any of us had one.
For policing purposes?
Oh yeah, please do. They do comb the social media. Don't post incriminating pictures on Facebook.
Anyway, why are you here? I thought you have something scheduled today. Or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday. Look, about that, there's something I want you to see.
He stops me with a tap on my shoulder, walks past me straight to the door, and gestures with his head towards their very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow and question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, but not after seeing the poor guy behind the table sending the poor guy behind the table an apologetic smile. This place again, I mean, must be nearby, unless they walked like 3 miles to it. As expected, he takes a seat in the furthest corner of the cafe. A good way from the window, but easily allows a view of who comes and goes. Secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by a curious bystander. If I didn't know this is lunch he invited me to, I would automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout or a surprise date. After years of knowing him, though, this has simply become one of the many habits he has that I've gotten used to. Food arrives minutes later. It's pretty decent lunch. I don't know what's up with the latte art. A slice of their vegetarian quiche for me. Meanwhile, Ashton has opted for a cup of coffee plus a gracious serving of what? Yeah. Imagery.
You having cake for lunch?
Gods, I want cake now. He shrugs and then proceeds to dig in without even a hint of remorse. Frankly, it's like seeing a child get his Christmas present early.
Don't tell Becca. I'll get an earful. It's just for today.
You should listen to her, though. The kind of work you do, you'll need to eat something other than sweets. I don't want to see you drop dead in front of my apartment again.
Again?
I told you, just this once. Have you been hanging out with Becca lately? You're beginning to sound like her.
Nah, just for some recipes.
Oh, only the recipes.
But she has the right to worry, you know? It's like she's taking care of 2 kids. One binges on sweets, while the other on cup noodles.
Which is better?
At least Bella knows how to cook.
Hey, I can at least boil something. Wait, that's easy, right? I mean, you just put water in and...
No, don't even think about it. You destroyed your own kitchen once by sticking a pressure cooker on it.
Oh, God.
I think my sister is a whole lot better than you. And this is coming from someone who has no other choice but to eat her cooking for some time.
To be fair, he genuinely appears offended at the last remark. Hate will be too strong of a word to describe how Sis and him usually interact whenever they're in the same room. Though whatever appropriate word it is, I can say with some certainty that the feeling's mutual for both. Ash thinks she nags too much, while Sis thinks he's a trouble magnet I should stay away from. They're both technically right on their assessments.
How's your sister, by the way? Still bullying white guys?
What should I say? She's married to one too now.
You do know she's married to one now.
Oh yeah, he likes us now.
I hope she doesn't end up poisoning him with her cooking.
Gods, what if their survival depends on these stats? Luke and Marianne are done for.
Pot calling the kettle black?
She can't be better than me.
Actually, she is now. They're planning to start a restaurant sometime in the future.
Oh.
I was bedridden for days after eating some of the stuff she whipped up. And now you're letting her cook for other people?
Don't exaggerate. It was just for one day, and you're the one who refused to leave your apartment. You should come by, though. Sis gave birth a few days ago. Girl.
Oh god, she's gonna torture that child with her cooking.
I've only seen the pictures, but I might visit sometime after everything's settled down. Too many backlogs to go through for now.
No way in hell. She'll just find something to criticize again.
Like his weird jacket? Or the cross? Or the red shirt?
Last time, it was Shirley.
Maybe his anime hair? He makes a show of being utterly mortified, though I'm quite sure he doesn't mean any of that. He may not say it straight out, but I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the small visits whenever he can. Something about it reminds him of his own family, sort of like making up for the one he never got back after his parents separated. Sore spot, that one topic. One thing he never ever brings up in any conversation, if he can help it, and I've never seen the need to be nosy. There are some wounds you're just not meant to open, and for the both of us, the sentiment goes the same way.
As if you ain't already on a shit list. You're just afraid of her.
In your dreams. But I'll think about it. Can't just drop this thing at the moment.
His change in tone is subtle, but his aggravation over the matter hangs completely palpable in the air.
Still no closer?
The opposite, actually. There's been some slip-ups here and there. Careless mistakes, and let's just say I'm waiting for him to make another one.
Like showing up at the mansion randomly.
What about you? How are things on your end?
All piled up on top of the other. But I can manage. Still recovering from the expenses for the movie, so the surge in new projects helps. And well, there's this one thing.
The picture. Oh, he brought them. The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread on the table. Oh. There's about 8 of them, all of it reprints of the same thing. Miss Wright's distorted head on the photos, but at least the rest of her's looking just fine. That's apparently what is called a butterface. In this case, even melted. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow on his brow doesn't ease even as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hannah Wright?
Yeah. How did you...
Despite the blurry face, he could recognize her by the pendant, apparently.
The locket. She never takes it off.
Oh, I was just guessing. Weird. I was actually meaning her, yeah. I just realized the cursor is not being captured, so you can't see me circling her, herself.
Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he'll likely have already dug up every unimaginable dirt on them, including family history. And if Zach had fallen for her charms, there would have been more dirt of infidelity.
Are you done with your work with them?
Yesterday, yeah. It's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose, and pulls out some bit of dirt. Like the action alone will help grant him all the patience in the world to continue this conversation.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth. These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you.
And he's gonna punch some people.
You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back on his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand, impatience clearly on his face. Any other person telling him this and he'll walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do.
What?
Yesterday, though, behind Hana.
Apparently Ash doesn't buy into these things at all. He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a deep frown.
Hana? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the right missus?
Oh, Ash, you used her name too.
Why does that even matter?
I thought you said this was just a gig.
Are we not allowed to use people's first names now? His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is as clear as day. It hits a nerve in me, somehow, more than the tone usually does. I do get where he's coming from, but I don't know which is going to be the best one. It really is just a gig. Oh, he hates us. No, he likes us. Awesome. Patience can be a tough thing to summon at times. But we didn't get this far as friends if we let our own tempers be the lord of us.
Bro, it's really just another freelance work.
He eyes me skeptically. The same stare he reserves for people he interrogates. I've been on the receiving end of it before, early in our friendship. Years later, he's already got the unimpressed police look down pat.
And there's nothing going on with me and Miss Hana. She was just being friendly. Insisted I call her by her first name. That's all.
Got really touchy.
I wasn't implying any of that. You're not that sort of guy.
I know, but let's just get that out of the way. The just-in-case elephant in the room scenario, aight? She's a married woman, Jesus!
Not with the image she presents in public.
No, but trust me, she ain't any of the things the tabloid writes about her.
Oh, she's friendly, yes.
Like I read any of those.
I know you don't, but keep it in mind, will you?
Will do. Though I can't promise you'll get off scot-free if she's involved. Man, without your acting, it feels like I'm doing a solid for your girlfriend.
He has a girlfriend?
Cut that out, will you? And I'm not asking you to.
Oh, I get it, teasing him.
Besides, what's currently going on here is more important.
All right, lay it in.
Recounting everything takes the better half of our lunch, but he manages to listen through the entire thing without a snide comment. A feat in itself, actually. And he nods his whole body. At the end of it, Ash merely nods his whole body, takes out his phone, and excuses himself to go masturbate. Off to a far corner of the cafe for some privacy. If you can even afford to have such in a place as public as this, but he's gonna do it. He's gonna see if there's enough privacy there. He returns in a little while and hands me a small card.
I can't stop you if you're willing to believe in this crap. Give this guy a call. You're better off talking to him than me. He's at the public library now if you want to catch him there. He used to be my professor back in the university.
Oh, no, I don't think that's...
Go on, I already gave him a heads up.
He knows you're crazy.
You know I can't help you out, man.
He gives my arm a tap and walks off, mumbling about checking back how things are at the precinct. I don't see his face when he leaves, but I know this is his own little way of helping out despite what he doesn't voice out. It would be better if it was what he doesn't say. Alright, Luxbourne Public Library. Of all the places, it never crossed my mind I'll end up wandering into the public library today, considering I rarely ever visited. Especially after that time of walking in on someone masturbating to a Playboy. Somehow, there has always been this kind of disconnect between me and books in general. Sure, some of them held my attention in my youth during the brief times of day that I was left to my own with nothing to do. I went through the whole of Grant's collection, as a matter of fact. Her Western romances were a little odd, probably what turned him off. Read all of them once or twice or thrice. But they never did hold it for long. Most of it never even sticked, despite how sticky some of the pages were. Especially after I learned it's simply easier to do things myself if I want to learn stuff. This isn't in the plan in the first place. But after Ashton went through the trouble to contact the professor, I can't just ignore it. Nothing but quiet greets me inside, though. Not the typical not the typical mum one would associate with the library, but one akin to a hush prior to an impending trouble. Or perhaps I'm just overthinking again. I really like to think I'm just thinking too much about this, that this is just some lack of sleep talking. Regardless, apart from a group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere playing Magic the Gathering, the place is free of its usual visitors. All while my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs at the back of my neck. Much to my relief, it doesn't take me long to find him, being the only occupant in this side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark. I've never personally met the man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he is Ash's go-to guy when something's troubling him with a case, or he needs a hookup for some drugs. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary. You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures at the empty seat across the table while he returns to his books. The next couple of minutes pass in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from the pile he's accumulated on the table, just ignoring me while I awkwardly watch him. I actually had a teacher do that to me once. It was really weird. It was actually more like 15 minutes. Maybe I should have taken a book first before heading here. But before I can even get far into that idea, the professor clicks the book shut and sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me. Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
He's the one the students get the answers to the questions to then sell, and he gets a cut. 75%. Of course, there are a lot of things I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess in the first among tens, hundreds of concerns in my head? But in the presence of someone I barely know, the thoughts won't easily form. He is nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry, it's a common mistake to make, but they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to.
Oh boy.
Here.
Places a couple of papers in front of me, the very same one he was writing on earlier. A study of Luxbourne's supernatural culture in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories. I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture, and this city thrives on it. Just ask the locals.
Like ghosts, for example.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now.
Like the Holy Ghost.
It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses, even, out of great anger, hatred, or pain.
Like the Holy Ghost.
There was this one story. Ah, here it is.
Another book is pulled out from the stack and placed open atop the papers, while he speaks with such passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes these to be true. It is interesting, though, even if I'm personally not a fan of such stories. And soon hours pass without my notice.
In the end, it asked for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the Wraith.
Like the Holy Ghost.
A sad tale, that one. But the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser.
And thus being possessed by the Holy Ghost was born.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with the Ermengarde Mansion, though?
Of course. That goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend? Although, word of the mouth is, someone has already bought it.
Ah, yeah. The right couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it. What is it about the mansion, then?
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man. You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house.
Oh, what if there's another ghost that will pop up later and murder everyone?
But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Well, what about these then?
There was a moment of hesitation on my part before I pulled out Miss Wright's photos and laid them all in front of him. Unlike Ash, though, the professor inspects each print with great interest. That gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
Ooh. Need some advice, prof? Do not like that word, prof.
Just the other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I'd strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them.
Time for vacation.
Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
Hang on, is he talking about the Wrights or the ghost?
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know? I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
Oh, there's a history.
Deserve what, sir?
All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappears, his face becoming unreadable. As though catching himself, he hastily clears his throat, gathers his books, and rises from his seat.
Professor?
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do. You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
All right. Do you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years.
He's got a whole roll of them in his pocket.
I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Of course. It was nice knowing you, Professor.
Because he's gonna die? He doesn't hear it, however. In a few short strides, he's out of the library, leaving me in every piece of this whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there is even a single way out of this, I hope we find it soon. The moon is well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. And we're gonna have a visit from the ghost, aren't we? Or Isabella. Or maybe Becca this time. My heavy treads and the sound of traffic outside echoing in my ears, filling the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever hears me walk like that, but after today, I really can't give a damn about everything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I unceremoniously flop down on it, and I find myself looking at the paper under my grip. An invitation and a request to cover an event. The Wrights' housewarming party tomorrow evening. If only it were that easy, but it'll give me a chance to talk to her and show her the warped up pictures of her face about that thing in her house. With a sigh, I let my hand fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow when my head isn't muddled with thoughts of a headless woman and the haunting smiles of a ghost. Belatedly, it occurs to me that the last meal I ate had been the one with Ashton. How do people go without eating? And an empty, gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up. Today was a complete waste of time, and frankly, I'm disappointed. The professor was so full of shit. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, this is quiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on. No woman knocking on my door. The part where I do not know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything has been thrown out of the loop. I wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been easier to make sense of than this. Routine haunting? Closing my eyes, I let the noise from the streets below lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's the one thing that hasn't changed. Sleep. October 29th, Saturday. Uh-oh. I don't like this. The melody carries into the hall long before I cross the threshold. Solemn, but gentle and soothing, a reminder of what home is. The place where your parents were murdered. Pa's firm but meaningful gaze, Ma's wistful smiles, the warm rays filtering through the eaves at sunset, the distinct smell of wet earth and leaves after a long day's rain, and our room, which was so uninteresting not to describe it. The room. Ma and Pa's pride and joy, a place where once promised several springs ago. Oh, place we were, excuse me. Yet it won't stop.
No, wait! Come back! I'll be good this time!
They locked him in the closet.
Please don't leave! Please stay!
The floorboards are cold under my feet more than usual. It usually is. The walls more forbidding than what I'm used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma's singing ceases, and Pa... Can't hear Pa. Gods. Not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting, soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. But when the light breaks... Oh. I think it's funny when her head jerks. Gods. It's so creepy. Her skin has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. And then there was the ghost. Bony hands grip Hannah's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes. And then there was the ghost. Gods. A scream ripples through the air. My whole body feels distant, every limb heavy with lead. all unable to move at will. Even so, I can wipe the beads of sweat forming at my temple. The rasping of my breath, which is just ceaseless, easily fills the room in the wee hours, while I force it back into a steady rhythm. There is a tightness in my chest I can't shake off, my heart pounding against it as if it's about to burst out. Something cold has settled in my legs. Oh, he peed. Not the usual chill that comes from a wet dream and goes with the passing breeze from the window, but one strong enough to sting, shackle, and leave a frigid sensation creeping up my skin. Oh, the ghost is on his legs. Oh no. Oh no. We're gonna have to try to save him while the ghost is crawling up his legs. Is that what's gonna happen? With every struggle I make, the pressure winds firmly around my legs. Oh gods. I need to be ready. My nose is itching. I got a cat climbing into my lap. Okay, I'm prepared. Tighter. And tighter, gods. Getting the keyboard out. Gotta press keys or whatever. I'm not prepared. Everything itches now. And tighter. Until it all becomes too much. Oh, and my heart stops. Another draft sweeps into the room and brings with it the iron tang of blood. Ick. Suffocating. Filling my nose with a foul, sickening smell as I shift my gaze downward. And it slowly comes into view. Oh no! Oh jeez. Is it getting closer? That's so horrible. I know this is supposed to be scary, but I'm laughing. Oh, well, Zachary, you can say goodbye to your penis if we mess up. Oh, and your balls. Oh. I'm just... Okay. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. Alright. Now that I'm done laughing. Mouth stretched in a hideous smile and eyes brimming with nothing but madness. The stench of gore taints the air around me and I can't look away from it. Her. From the terror and death that her uncanny twisted features alone scream. I try to open my mouth, to shout, to ask for any help, but my voice has left my body altogether. All I have is the painful realization that no kind of plea will ever save me from her. Then suddenly the bed dips. Oh! Jeez. Okay, good. That wasn't like me having to tap keys or anything. Alright. I thought that was going to be a survival situation, but apparently not. It was just creepy and funny. Really just funny. That is not the kind of booty call you want to wake up to, no. Mm-mm. The brutal plunge back into myself jerks me awake. There is no ear-splitting scream, no wild thrashing of limbs. Just a painful, constricting awareness that something has wound itself tightly around my neck. I waste no second pulling it, a blanket, away, but allow myself a few minutes to steady my breathing before getting off the bed. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. But the dreams have gotten worse. Ever since 2 days ago, no longer are they the small, cursory flashes that I'm used to, but vivid ones that linger, as you have no idea she's gonna rip off your scrotum. I can still feel the blood in my hands, the putrid smell of rotting flesh, the sickening crunch of bones breaking with every movement, in her cold, chilling eyes as they bore into me while she mounts me. Gods, that would be horrible. I draw in one long, ragged breath, and before I know it, I'm waking walking out the door. Even the waking world, it reeks. Alright, a little bit more. The bench on the park is far from the most private place for thoughts in Luxborn, considering its location at the heart of a bustling city. But in the early hours of the morning, it provides enough peace and quiet for any poor problematic soul who happens to wander here. The city is just waking up a little later than usual. But knowing what day it is, one can't fault it for being a little tardy just this once. What day is it, anyway? Thursday! It is Thursday? Friday. Tuesday! I guess it's Tuesday? No, it's Thursday. Yes, Thursday. Yet, neither the pleasant morning chill nor the soft twittering of birds does anything to banish the images. Every single one has rooted itself into my head, its claws digging deep into what is no longer a safe place to hide in.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Take a key and lock him up, lock him up, lock him up.
It's an annoying voice.
Take a key and lock him up, my fair lady.
Oh god.
London Bridge is falling down.
It used to be easy, finding some pretense of peace under the guise of sheer optimism, following regular routine before some annoying kid or someone who's trying to mimic a kid started repeatedly rhyming whatever this is. Now? Now I don't know what to make of it. It's all gone downhill. Sometimes it's easier to run, easier to hide when everything's falling apart. That way, you don't have to be the first to witness it when it does. It worked when things went bad with the movie, after all. Gods, no. It also worked with Ma and Pa were taken from us. Maybe it really is just better if I shut that child up.
Hey, mister.
Ah. Creepy. She is the reincarnated ghost. The tiny voice gives me a pause of an adult trying to sound like a child. When I look up, a little girl, maybe about 6 or 7, is peering at me, and apparently she dyes her hair at that young of an age. 2 wide eyes overflowing with what can only be the natural curiosity one typically sees in children aside from unabashed malice. I vaguely note that Saint Goretti uniform she's wearing before returning her greeting.
Hey kid.
Kylie.
Kylie?
That's my name.
It's a weird-ass name, Kylie. Not really, but we're just gonna bash on her anyway.
Mama said it's rude not to call people by their names.
She then flops down on the empty space beside me. Her little legs, too short to touch the ground, swings in tune with a song she hums under her breath. Please don't do it again. I don't mind kids. Nana would often invite the ones in our old neighborhood to give them treats, like a witch. Of course, by then, Sis and I were both too old to play with them, but you get used to the commotion eventually. Nowadays, that's weird. It's not completely as unpleasant as most people would imply. Kylie seems to be a well-behaved kid anyway, aside from the annoying voice.
Oh, sorry. Nice to meet you, Kylie. Is Mama here?
No, but my big brother's with me. He's taking pictures with his camera over there.
She points to the far end of the park, the one closest to the street, where a kid is taking shots of something above him, probably looking into the windows of the apartment next door. Doesn't look to be birds because all there is on that side of the park are buildings. Yes, I was right.
I don't see what's so interesting with the tip of a building, though. I'd take pictures of dogs if I were him. They're cuter. Do you have a camera too, mister?
Yeah, I'm actually a photographer.
Gods, that's the voice. That's the voice that causes you to get, I don't know, leave, abortion.
Mama said I'm too young to get a camera.
Oh, there's one on your phone.
I'm sure your mama will eventually give you one. But won't you be late for school like this?
Big Brother will get us there on time. Rowan promised Papa. We aren't going to be late. It's sports day. So it's not good if you keep looking like that today. If it ends up raining and we lose, it's your fault.
What?
All right, I'll try not to upset the clouds today, kid.
Is it because you're sick, mister?
Cause you got this sickly pallor about you. Before I know it, a smile is spread over my face. They say kids ask the toughest questions sometimes, and they sure do with how sincere Kylie looks. Lying feels like doing her a huge disservice, because strangely I've suddenly want to just spill out everything to this tiny being.
No, not sick. Just having a very, very bad day.
Why is that? Is that like when my big brother ate all of my pudding? He did that once and then cried. It wasn't very nice of him.
Yeah, I think so. You see, there's this mean girl. She's giving my friends and I a lot of trouble. Hard to keep up when things are like that, you know? Especially when you can't do anything. It's kind of scary. Makes you wish things will just stay as peaceful as they used to be.
Maybe she just wants to be friends with you?
I highly doubt that.
She wants the D. That's what she wants, Zachary, from you at least.
She already hurt one of my friends.
What if she's just sad? Or maybe she just wants help.
It's all a cry for help.
That's what happened with Melody. I let her borrow my crayon when she left hers. Now we're playmates.
It's not really the same thing, Kylie. What she did, they're pretty bad things.
Oh god, what's her name? Jeez, I wasn't paying attention. Never mind.
I still think there's another reason. Did you try talking to her? That's what Mama said I should do.
I don't think that'll work either.
You haven't even tried yet. You sound like Rowan. You're just scared, mister.
That strikes a chord. Maybe it's the honesty in her tone, or simply the truth in the words itself. I don't know why, but I can't help it. I laugh. Loud enough to disturb an elderly couple taking a leisurely walk nearby.
Why are you laughing?
That's nothing. You're a really smart kid, you know that?
Smart, or just does not have the same hang-ups that an adult would. That's what I've been doing, isn't it? Go full speed ahead, then backtrack when the going gets tough, stay in my safe zone because that's what I know. Once Dr. Navarro said I should be the first one willing to deal with my problems before anyone else. I didn't show up on our next appointment after that. Got myself another psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever. But he's right. And though I hate to admit it, knowing what I've seen, but the child makes a good point, too. I've been so caught up thinking there might not be a way out. Maybe there isn't, or maybe there is, but that doesn't mean I should just leave it up to fate. Aren't spirits supposed to be humans before, too? What? Had people they cared about, lived a life of their own, smiled and laughed like the rest of us do. Do they really lose all of it after death?
You better get to school, though, or you'll miss sports day.
Ghost just wants to get laid. People get crazy when they don't get laid.
You should have won yourself some awards, alright?
Alright. Can I show it to you when I do? That can cheer people up, right?
Could be worse, the ghost could become an incel. In the distance, her brother calls for her, and I took that as a sign to leave before he calls the police about a black guy talking to his sister. Got things to do, to face, the first few steps, they say.
Nah, I'm good now, I think. Thanks to you. Besides, Mr. needs to go. But you should show it to Mama and Papa. I'm sure they'll be proud of you, Kylie.
I will. Thanks, mister. Bye.
I give her a little pat on the head before heading my way. Small gesture of thanks from a stranger she didn't know she might have helped. She may not understand it now, even though at such a young age she already has this understanding of things, but maybe when she's older she'll have the experience to know not to talk to strangers. When the world no longer seems too big for her.
But aren't you going to help me, mister?
Oh my god, that is... Is she? She is just completely... He's seeing things. She doesn't exist. He's just seeing things.
With what?
Confused, I glance back and the small child is gone. Oh no, she's there. Jeez. Whatever cheer our little talk brought has vanished under the shadows, suddenly dancing in my eyes. So, this is the ghost talking, communicating with him, in a way. So, she's basically just said, hey, I need help. I know I look crazy and disgusting, and I have a weird way to ask, but just need some help. Gotta take that edge off. Yeah. This frigid air is most definitely not how the morning chill should feel like. Bitter, stinging, and unwelcoming. And the kid.
What do you think, mister? Are you going to help me?
As typically creepy as kids are.
What do you want from us?
The response never comes, however. Because when I blinked, gone.
Hello? Mister? Are you okay?
For several passing seconds, I let my stare linger on her face, waiting for any sign of another change. But all that remains in there is the carefree smile of a child possessed. None of the spite, none of the cold, none of the bloody smile of a teenager.
Nothing, huh? I really need to go, Kylie. It was nice meeting you.
Foreboding of things to come after she hits puberty.
See you again, mister!
She's just so over the top, she has to be the ghost. Alright, well, next time, we will continue the story of Zachary, and perhaps enter another chapter of potentially Ash, Marianne, or Becca, or what's his face? Luke.